Welcome to the Monarch Football Show with Coach CJ Goss. My name is Nick Boykin. I'm filling in for John Donnelly this week. The Monarchs went on the road this weekend to LaGrange, Georgia to face LaGrange College and prevailed 73-28. Here to talk about the game with us is Coach CJ Goss. Coach, how are you doing today?
Doing great, as always.
Coach, your team went into this weekend facing LaGrange College. They're looking to get back in the win column after losing the week before, and it was also their homecoming, which you were the opponent for. You know, I know it was more of a one-sided victory for the Monarchs, winning 73-28, but what did you look for in how they performed this weekend?
Well, you know, I think the result of the game was a direct representation of how we practiced. And, you know, I think that we had a great week of practice. I felt good going in. You know, we dealt with a short week of practice because we have to travel on Friday. Obviously, it's a long trip. And, you know, I had a lot of concerns going into the game. You know, my number one concern was it was their homecoming. So you're going into a place that people feel, you know, they're excited at any given time. Graham Craig, the leader in Division III passing, was back. He was coming back from an injury. So we had a lot of things going against us going into that game. Now, I think you had to prepare your guys to be able to handle, you know, going into a homecoming, being prepared to handle, you know, a very high potent offense to take advantage of what they give us. And I think that, you know, myself and the coaching staff were pretty optimistic walking away after Thursday's practice, getting on the bus on Friday and traveling down there. We had a great trip down there. Everything went smooth, and I knew the minute we got off the bus and we walked into the stadium, I always like to get out into the stadium real early, you know, earlier than any other team in the country. We're going to go walk around and get acclimated to our environment. And I knew by the look on everybody's face that it was going to be a successful day. I could tell the way the players were reacting and how they approached it, that plus the week of practice, plus, you know, everything going in. I just, you know, I knew I had a good feeling going in, and our guys performed to the best of their ability, and it showed in the score.
You know, speaking on that, you know, high-intensity offense of LaGrange, your defense had probably the best game of the year, closing out and not allowing points from LaGrange until the third quarter. What was the key to that?
Well, I think that, you know, we kept it very simple, and our guys are starting to come of age. We definitely have some young players that we're playing. When I say young, freshmen and sophomores, and you get to this point in the season where you're trying to make a run for a conference championship, and, you know, they're no longer young players, you know. And I think that this past week was the defining, you know, getting over the hump, getting over the median of, you know, from a maturity standpoint. And I think what our players did is they reacted. They've taken to the coaching. They're understanding the system. And in understanding the system, I think that, you know, when guys do less thinking, they play a little faster. And I think that we played as fast a football as we've played all season. And, you know, I take nothing away from LaGrange College. That is a very, very good offense. It's an unbelievable quarterback. It's, you know, a coach who's famous for a system. It's an air raid system, you know. So I'm really impressed the way our young guys reacted, and they were just focused for 60-plus minutes. And, you know, the way we approached it was very important, and they reacted.
Definitely. You know, what I know is a long road trip for the Monarchs. What's one of your more personal, you know, things that you like about a long road trip? You know, other than the football aspect of things, just being with the team, what's one of the things you like more about it?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I like nothing about long road trips. There was once a day where I enjoyed those long road trips, and, you know, you get the team and you get to do that bonding, and you know, you get to do all those things. But I'll take a home game any day. The tradition, the campus walks, the meetings, you know, being at home, the environment, you know, the home field advantage, you know, I'll take that any day. If I was to circle it back and try and find the positives about being on the road, it's, you know, it's the bonding. You know, it's going back to the hotel and sitting down and having meals and kind of getting, you know, a chance to just have that team within itself type atmosphere. And, you know, it's always good to be around the guys. We're also getting to the point where these seniors are starting to, you know, see the sunset. You know, they're starting to see the finish line, and getting a chance to kind of finish it with them together, you know, is bittersweet because, you know, it's, you know, although you're going to miss them, you know, you got to, you know, the cupboard's full with young players, but, you know, you hate to, you know, take those last couple long road trips with, your seniors, and you embrace that and you enjoy it. So I would say the time as you get further into it with your older players is certainly something that I take away, and I always appreciate on those long road trips.
Definitely. Well, even though it wasn't your favorite moment going on a long road trip, it definitely worked out for the Monarchs. We'll be right back to go into the first half. Stay tuned.
My name is Patrick Jacobs. I'm a double major here at Methodist University with Spanish and athletic training. I also play football. It's brotherhood in every sense of the word. We're there for each other no matter what, and the special thing is the chemistry we have off of the field as well as on the field, which I think is a huge factor as to why we won the conference championship last year. The general medicine rotation I'm in now is sort of a different experience because it's for people who can't really afford health care. It's the care clinic. My goals when I was studying abroad were to, one, increase my fluency in the language, and two, develop a better understanding of the Spanish culture. I wanted to continue my studies in Spanish, and it ended up being a great decision.
Both teams go 3 and out to start the game. Anthony Radke would capitalize first on a 15-yard pass from Max Reber to put Methodist on the board.
Well, I think that this is an important drive, important touchdown to get the game going, and I think it just opened up the floodgates as the game progressed.
John Papillon would also score with a 4-yard run, and Jalen Robinson with the reception would bring the score to 21-0 in the first quarter. Coach, your team had success early and with great defensive play. What were your thoughts early on?
Well, I think that, initially I saw the fundamentals and how we prepared carrying over directly from practice to the game. And, my whole goal was to keep it rolling and not let up, and our guys certainly did not.
The Monarchs would capitalize off a couple miscues by the Panthers. After a fumble on the kick return in the first quarter, Pat Jacobs was scoring a 13-yard pass from Reber, making the score 28-0.
This was a critical error on LaGrange's part. Unfortunately, their guy fumbles, but fortunately for us, Pat Jacobs does a great job of finding the end zone from Reber, and it's another score to keep the momentum going. And again, I'm telling the team, don't let up.
Coach, what were your concerns going into halftime and how you can improve going into the second half?
We had a good amount of momentum going into halftime. That's always a concern because your team can turn around and get comfortable, and comfort wasn't what we were going to have. I think we had to refocus as a coaching staff. We made a couple of adjustments, and we attacked that second half as if it were 0-0, and the second half spoke for itself. The big thing is just not letting up and keeping the pedal, foot on the gas pedal throughout the whole second half, and I think we did that.
Back. Now we'd like to discuss our 12th man segment of the week. Coach, who was your 12th man going in the Greensboro game?
Our 12th man was Officer Lorenzo Josephs. Now, Officer Josephs, and now known as Coach Josephs, he is a symbolism of Methodist University. He works up at our Welcome Center. He works for campus security on the campus of Methodist University. And really, he's the first face that I see every day when I come in, depending on when I come in. And, so he's always there to, not only say hi, but, he's a guy who truly cares about our football players. He refers to our players as his boys. Every time we're at home, he calls it the home cooking. There's a lot of little details, but, we're also dealing with a guy who genuinely from the bottom of his heart cares about not only our football program, but our football players and the university as a whole. I can't think of a better guy to be the first face that I see when I come on campus, and I'm not the only one who feels that way. Now, with that being said, on the day, we had to make some accommodations for Coach Joseph, and so he got a chance to go on our campus walk to start the day off. He had the opportunity to have a team breakfast with us, ate a great meal with some of the seniors and the rest of the guys on the team. From there, we put him on the sideline, and he had a chance to kind of pick and choose what plays we were going to run. he wanted to blitz a little bit, and he wanted to keep it high-tempo offense. And, you know, we were fortunate enough to get our blitz on that day, and, you know, we certainly had the opportunity to, you know, put some points on the board against Greensboro College. You know, on the day, his big thing when we win football games is, Coach, you know, I'm going to be up here dancing when we get this victory. And at the very end of the game, you know, we brought it up as a team. It started to rain, and as that rain came down, he got a chance to get right in front of the middle of the team and start his dance. And, you know, it was just an unbelievable day. It was an unbelievable win, and it was an unbelievable way for us to finish out the day with such a great man. So on behalf of the Methodist University football team, Officer Josephs was our 12th man, and I couldn't be prouder.
Well, Officer Joseph, you know, thank you for all you do for Methodist University and the football team. And you were a great 12th man, bringing in the rain and doing the dance and everything. Pat Jacobs would score first for Methodist in the second half, but LaGrange would score their first touchdown of the game on a 7-play, 76-yard drive, making the score 52-7 in the third quarter. Methodist would counter after the LaGrange score with a touchdown reception from Reber to Grimsley.
They're looking to put drives together, and we never let up. And, you know, again, it's just one of those things where, you know, we were taking what their defense was giving us. And, you know, Reber was finding his open targets, and, you know, a guy like Marco Grimsley, that's not a small target. So, you know, we were just taking what they were giving us. And
Coach, your team has a very large lead going into the fourth quarter. What were your goals, knowing that LaGrange is too far away to catch up to you guys?
Get our younger players in, get, you know, our guys some game experience, and then at the same time, keep the heat on them enough to have them stop throwing the football. In most football games, you know, the other team's going to start to chew clock and stop throwing the football. You know, obviously not a philosophy of the head coach at LaGrange, but, you know, it's you still got to line up and play, and that's what we did, and we made the best of it going into the fourth quarter.
The Monarchs scored twice in the fourth quarter, 2 touchdowns from running backs Dante Lerma and Jordan Porter. Also to note, Jordan Rilling would break the USA South Conference record for the most PATs made in a single game. The final score would be 73-28. Methodist improves to a 4-2 record overall. Now it's time for Inside the Playbook with Coach Goss. Coach, we're going to talk about play in the first half with B.J. Minter and a sack against LaGrange. Explain to us the pressure that you used and some of the things that went into getting that third down sack for the Monarchs.
Well, the first thing that, you know, we identified as we go into the play is, you know, you could tell what they were running, and our guys did a great job of identifying, you know, the routes that they were running. I think the coverage was a good starting point, and then the pressure that we brought with it certainly helped. But what they did a really good job of doing is every time they closed their split down, and we call this, you know, a tighter split by the backside number 1 receiver, and all they were doing is they were crossing this guy directly across the formation, and usually when they did that, they were bringing another guy across the formation. So basically they were exchanging these two guys. What they also did is, you know, they were going to take and try and draw the safety's coverage out, and what they were doing is they were immediately running what we call the wheel route out the back door. Now, with that being said, when you get formations like this where there are crossers, you know, you kind of have to be able to exchange rather than chase. What the quarterback's looking is he's looking for one of these inside guys to chase this route, and now what he's going to do is he's going to get the mismatch. I think our underneath football players did a great job of, you know, the minute we saw that guy going in, that corner fell off, waiting for the other guy to come out and vice versa. And I think we did a good job of covering that up, and we squeezed it. Now, what caused the sack is I also saw in our defensive line, Coach Andrew Christie saw that, you know, the way that they were setting, there was a disadvantage that they were at. And so they were blocking us straight up on the day. And really what they were looking to do is, you know, they were going to go a man for a man, and they were going to go, you know, each guy, the tackle, the guards, were going to go a man for a man. And what we did is we basically exchanged these two guys. We took our rush and we made it where it was one-on-one. We obviously got a good rush off the weak side, but what we did to our strong side, okay, to the field side, because they had put their formation into the boundary, is we took this guy and we did what we call twisting them. He was now going to take this thing inside. What was going to happen is the defensive tackle is going to show as if he's rushing to hold up and get this guy's on him long enough for our defensive end to come in. And then what's going to happen is he's going to do what we call twisting around, and he's going to replace where the outside defensive end. So basically, your defensive tackle becomes your defensive end. Your defensive end becomes your defensive tackle. And what happened was we now had a situation where this offensive tackle chased our defensive end inside, and so we had two guys on one guy. And what B.J. Minner did a good job of is wrapping around. As both of these guys, B.J. came clean. That was about the same time that the pocket had collapsed. We were 1, 2, okay, our defensive end was 3, and now B.J. Minner came around, and he came around for the cleanup and the sack, you know, executing the play perfectly. It's two-part. It's obviously great coverage where we exchanged the route, but we also found our mismatch inside. When you have the front working alongside with the back and we're exchanging routes and we're matching the coverage the right way, you end up with successful plays like this, and perfectly executed the same way that we practiced it during the week.
Definitely. Now, Coach, you switched to more of a four-man front. I know in your defense in the past you've had three men. That's definitely to get more pressure on the quarterback. How crucial is it to get a pressure from your D-line, especially for your safeties and cornerbacks and secondary in the backfield?
Well, when you're matching the coverage up and each guy ends up with a guy on a guy. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing and part of the deficiency that we've had early on in the season is we've had a tough time with contain. And so what I mean by that is we've had a tough time. Your outside rushers, in this particular case your defensive end, and in this case your defensive tackle, they have to do what they call contain the quarterback. They have to keep the quarterback inside. And so their job is to keep the quarterback inside while your inside pass rushers, their job is to flush the quarterback out. Okay. In this philosophy, if your inside pass rushers force the quarterback out and your outside contain rushers keep the quarterback in, it's ultimately going to lead to a sack. And, that's our philosophy, and that's really what we've done a good job of, and we did a good job against LaGrange College.
Definitely. Well, it definitely worked out by moving down some more linemen and doing a great job getting pressure on the quarterback. We're going to switch to the offensive side of the ball now, Coach, and we're going to go over Jordan Porter's 60-yard run against LaGrange College. Coach, a lot of what goes into a big run is great blocking. If you could explain for us what goes in the details of what made this such a great play.
Well, the biggest thing is our offensive staff, they did a great job of counting the numbers. And what they realized initially is that we got in a trips formation. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by trips is there are 1, 2, 3 receivers. Obviously, a number 1 receiver backside. And so, you're looking at how are they making up the field here. What LaGrange College was doing is they were overcompensating to our trips, and they really had 4 guys over 3 to the outside, which is obviously going to stop a lot of your pass plays. We were having success throwing the football. There's a lot of things going on. What they were doing is they took one of their inside linebackers and they were removing them to overcompensate to our trip side. Well, our offensive staff did a great job of realizing that inside what we call the box. Inside the box, we have 5 offensive linemen on 5 defensive players. Basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so, what we saw and what the offensive staff located right away is that, we're a body on a body and we have the ability to run the football. So what happened on this particular play is the defensive ends were getting a little wide. They were, obviously we were throwing the football effectively. You always have to account for our pass game. Definitely. And so what happens is our defensive end was getting a little too far up the field. And so that's an easy block as we go away from the trips, right away from the 4-man surface, and go towards that 5-man box. Now what's going to happen is every one of these guys is going to make their blocks effectively. So we're 2 by 2. Obviously we're going to take our blocks up to that next level. Now, what they were expecting was their safety, if it was run two, as we were running the football,
Fill in and get.
he was looking to fill through what they would call the B gap. Well, what happened is on the play, our wide receiver does a great job, as this corner does what they call bailing out. The wide receiver does a good job of pinning that safety who's responsible for this gap in. And what happens is the tailback, Jordan Porter, now sees this, and now he's one-on-one versus a cornerback. And what happens is that, the corner, as he's about to come up, he's no match for Jordan Porter and his speed. Jordan makes a little move, and the rest is history, going a body for a body. Now, not only is it a good play that's very well executed, I think, again, this is two-part in the fact that, the staff's unbelievable in the fact that they can identify this so quickly. And they see this, they count the numbers, they make the right play call, and the next thing you know, these little plays and the little overcompensations to try and defend every part of our offense turns into, a big play and a touchdown, and it sure is exciting because you definitely have to pick which part of this you want to stop. And again, if you're taking away our trips, then we're going to hit you in the middle. If you're taking away the middle, then we're one-on-one. If we're not. If nothing's there, then, obviously we're going to go over to the trip side. So it's an exciting, system to run. And when you run it at a tempo and a high pace, tempo like we run, I think it's very dangerous. It's very hard to defend.
Definitely. Is this kind of like a, personal success when you see that a defensive coach, and you've been in that situation, they're planning for a pass, and you see it, you get with your coaches, and you decide, hey, let's schematically change things up, and is that kind of like a moral victory as a coach to know that you out-schemed another one?
Well, I think that, I think it's two-part. I think that, obviously, you're trying to take away top players. They probably saw that we brought a freshman in. Obviously, Jordan Porter being a freshman. And, again, I've said it in previous episodes, but, our running back core runs very, very deep. And so, to me, and to our staff, and Ben Gaines does a great job with our running backs, but, it doesn't matter who's in that game. We're going to take what they give us, and, they're going to make plays. And, if it's not this freshman, it's one of the couple freshmen out here, it's the freshman back here, it's the freshman offensive line. It was that point of the game. So as far as a victory, in my mind, yeah, absolutely, because we have young guys who had a chance to share in our success on Saturday. So it's a little bittersweet. It's very exciting.
Coach, there are definitely a lot of great plays in this game to be proud of. We'll be right back.
Won't you follow me into the jungle?
You got a big win against LaGrange College this last weekend, good conference win going into the rest of the season. What were your closing thoughts on the game itself?
Well, I think that, having traveled down there with the distance, gone down there and walking away with the performance that we walked away with, it was a great confidence builder, and it kind of sets the tone for us to make hopefully a late season run as we move forward. We went down there, the crowd was, was great. We had a great, even though we were on the road, we had a great crowd that was behind us, and I think that, that helped our guys. I think that we overcame the adversity of the trip and the distance and everything. And then we went down with a solid game plan, and I think that we showed what we could do for 3.5 quarters. Obviously that the last half of that fourth quarter, it didn't work out exactly the way we wanted, but I think that, we walk away with confidence. I think that we walk away from the LaGrange College game knowing what we're capable of when we put a game together and when we prepare and practice the right way. I think that fundamentally it was probably the best game that we played. I think schematically our guys made the fewest amount of mistakes, and I think from an execution standpoint, I think that our guys, made big-time plays when it was time to make the big-time plays. And so, we take that, and now we take that into the next game. And we've got one heck of a schedule coming up here. We've got very, very good football teams. These last 4 are going to be, one battle at a time. There's no one to be taken lightly, and I think that, if we prepare the right way, the way we did against LaGrange, I think we have as good of an opportunity as anybody to, come out on the winning end possibly with these last 4 games.
I know one of your philosophies is, taking it one step at a time, 1 hour, 1 day, 1 minute. Your next opponent is NC Wesleyan. You're going down there to another homecoming. what about the Bishops scares you? You know, what about them are you planning for?
Well, I think that, you know, it's a couple parts. It's the same thing as going into the LaGrange game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're going to our second of 3 homecomings, with our homecoming being the last game that we're going to, the last homecoming we're going to be a part of. Now, with that being said, we go in, they're a high-power offense. They have playmakers everywhere. They have a line that's getting better with every game, you know, from an offensive standpoint. Defensively, they're very dangerous. They run a very sound scheme, and they're going to take away our top plays. And so, you know, to go player for player, I think that, you know, they've got a good quarterback. We've got a good quarterback. You know, I think there's a pretty even matchup there. I think that, you know, their skilled guys are as good as we've seen, and they have a couple true home run hitters. And I think their tailback is one of the best guys that we're going to go against in this entire country. He's no joke. And this Alston kid, I mean, he can play football. You know, from the defensive standpoint, you know, they're very young, but they're very, very athletic. And I think that they play with such high emotion that truly is going to tell the tale. I think that, you know, as long as we take care of what we have to do when we prepare the right way, you know, it's going to be very evenly matched. And, you know, we have to overcome, A, the trip, B, the homecoming atmosphere, and walking into another away trip where, you know, it's a high emotion, high intensity, you know, situation. And then let the players make the plays, and we'll see how it works out. I think that, you know, we will be prepared the right way. And going into that, you know, if we prepare the right way, the same way we did against LaGrange, then I think that, you know, we have as good of a chance to come out on top as anybody in the conference. But take nothing away from North Carolina Wesleyan. This is a very, very good football team, very dangerous, and I have the utmost respect for their coaching staff. And, you know, they're well coached, and I think it's going to be a great game. It'll be one worth watching.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, we're looking forward to the game this coming weekend.
My name is BJ Mentor. My major is organizational communication, and I have a minor in leadership studies. I have a very strong faith, and I knew no matter where I went, I knew I was going to be successful because I knew who I am as a leader, as a person, and who I want to be in the future. When you're here to graduate and earn a career, you want to set yourself up, and you want to set yourself apart from other people so you can have a long-lasting career that's going to help you in your lifetime. I came in with an open mind, trying to figure out where I want to be in my life, how I want to affect other people's lives, and what legacy I want to leave. I became the president of my own committee, which I never thought I would do. And that's how you make a strong institution, is the people that are in the school. And that's why I like Methodist in the first place, because I made good connections with the faculty and staff. I love our coaching staff. The friendships I made here, they will last for a lifetime.
The Monarchs this weekend will be taking on the battling Bishops of NC Wesleyan. If you're able to come and join us at the game, it's in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, right down the road from Fayetteville. Coach, as always, thanks for coming and being part of the show. And this has been the Monarch Football Show with Coach CJ Goss. I'm your host, Nick Boykin. Have a good week.